What is up, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of M3 Wrestling.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. For those who may not know, or maybe for those who may or may not care, my name is Brandon, and alongside me, as always, is Andrew.
What's up, people?
And we are coming at you live from the Smith's Grove.
Smith's Family Dungeon.
Smith Family Dungeon. So, for those who may not have seen us before, or heard us before, we are part of the Macho Movie Madness crew over at Macho Movie Madness on YouTube. We also have our movie podcast there, and wherever else your favorite podcasts are, we are available on everything, even Stitcher. That's we said in there. So we did some episodes here. We relaunched the podcast over there at Macho Movie Madness, and when we don't have our full crew, me and Andrew decided, well, let's talk a little bit of wrestling. We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, we got time. Let's talk about something.
It's a great pastime, and we absolutely love pro wrestling. We absolutely love it. Mostly older stuff, but a little new here and there. So he's like, let's separate it because there might be some of those out there who don't want to listen to both. Maybe they come to a movie podcast and listen to wrestling. They may not want to do that.
I wanted Halloween too.
Yeah. What the heck, guys?
Yeah, well, we gave you The Undertaker. What's wrong?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Right.
That's what Undertaker, or I don't know what came first. Michael Myers, I guess, right? No, but anyway, we're decided to just go ahead and launch an extension of Macho Movie Madness called M3 Wrestling, and you can find us on YouTube. We're going to be posting various videos up on YouTube. We got one coming up also, other than just our podcast. We're going to be talking about our Mount Rushmore of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And I will be doing some wrestling gameplay videos as well, because I like playing old wrestling games and new wrestling games. I guess I'll be checking out that AEW Fight Forever game.
Oh boy, be Eddie Kingston.
No, that will not be my first pick. Sorry, I'm just not an Eddie Kingston fan.
Oh.
Anyway, just wanted to get all this rigmarole out of the way so we can get started here. But wanted to let everybody know that we're doing wrestling podcasts now on the side, and our podcast will be available on YouTube and wherever else you listen to your podcasts as well on those, just like Macho Movie Madness. So without further ado, we're going to get started. And we decided what could we do for the launch of M3 Wrestling. And we did WrestleMania this year, and then we did some Backlash this year, and a Backlash 2000. We were talking about some Backlash, and we did Bash of the Beach 2000. So we were talking about doing more 2000 stuff. And then we were talking the other day, well, let's talk more about kind of what led up to this. Right. There's so much that happened in the mid-90s when wrestling was actually taking a bad downturn, like it was heading to the crapper.
Yeah. To the
crapper. And we decided that we were going to start on 96. And we will be covering plenty of other stuff. There's years and years worth of shit to say, to talk about. But we figured, let's maybe think about doing the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era, what led up to that, and some of the biggest stars of that time, like the start of Stone Cold, Triple H, The Rock, stuff like that, and then maybe lead into that 2000. We will be branching off from time to time. We might get sick of talking 97 after a couple months, so we might go do a show from 91 or maybe a different promotion, and then we'll talk probably current wrestling a little bit here and there as well.
We thought 96 would be fun because. Yeah, it's kind of the last of the down years, but it's also the years all the pieces fell into place to eventually become what they were. Mick Foley came in this year.
Yeah.
Young Rock came in at the end of this year. So you're slowly starting to get all the players that you need down the line.
Yeah. And 97, we both talked about, is one of our favorite years in wrestling of all time. And I'm a big fan of 98 and also 2000, 99. So 99's, depending on who you ask, might be a little forgettable.
Yeah, it was prime Russo era there.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there, but there's a lot of bad in there more so. 98 was really solid.
Yeah.
2000, 2001 had its ups and downs. I think 2000 was actually a really good year.
Yes.
And there's a lot that I don't remember. That's why we were going to revisit that. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I just want to let everybody know that's what we're going to be doing. And today, to start it off with, we're not starting at the beginning of 96. We're starting a little bit into 96, end of May. So we're going to be covering In Your House. This is number 8. In Your House 8, Beware of Dog.
Yes.
And this wasn't the most solid show, even without the problems, with or without the problems.
Right.
It wasn't a great, it was a decent card, but not a great bunch of matches or anything. It just, there's everything around it and during it was so unique and so interesting, you know. So we wanted to maybe start there. There's some interesting stuff that I wrote down here because I kind of forgot about some of this stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, just first off, I want to say that, you know, this is In Your House 8. This would be 8, where they start In Your House in 95, so the year prior.
Yeah, exactly a year prior.
And so in 95, just to kind of prelude this a little bit, 95 was the year Nitro started for WCW to combat Raw, which was still, even up to this point, May of 96, just 1 hour of television. 50 minutes if you're watching on Peacock or the network, you know. So they start, you know, throwing all kinds of things out at the WWF. And, you know, if they're doing this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do something different. We're going to do more. And that's when the monthly pay-per-view started. When did the monthly, it was like around this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
95.
It was the beginning of 96.
Yeah, when it really started month to month,
out,
not just the big four. So you had the big four plus these In Your Houses.
Yeah.
And we get to 96 and end of May. This is May 26th, Sunday, May 26th. Beware of Dog. This is coming at you live from South Carolina, North Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah, the first night was Florence. The second night was North Charleston.
Yeah, North Charleston. Interesting thing. The most interesting thing about this, Andrew, was the storm that knocked the power out at the second match in, basically, right before the main second match, because they had a couple dark matches beforehand.
Right. They had a couple dark matches. They had the free-for-all match where the Smoking Guns won the tag team belts from the Godwins.
Yeah.
Sunny turned there. And then after...
They saw Sunny Days.
Right. And then after the opening match, which we'll talk about here shortly, they're queuing up Savio Vega's music, and there's a promo in the back for the British Bulldog, and it just cuts.
Yeah, just cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they lose power, and they proceed to actually have all of the matches in the dark. And they talk about it a little bit after the fact, and the next night on Raw they talk about it. They even show a little bit of footage.
Yeah.
But if you go on Peacock right now and you watch Beware of Dog, you get Beware of Dog and Beware of Dog 2 in one episode, basically, and all of that stuff's gone.
Right.
And basically, and see, the lineup was Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mark Marrow, Wildman Mark Marrow, with Sable. And right after that was the strap match, the Caribbean strap match with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Savio Vega. Well, if you watch it on Peacock, it goes straight to the Shawn Michaels versus British Bulldog Championship match.
Right.
Because they regained power and feed that night for the main event. So they basically just aired all of that at one go on that free-for-all on Tuesday, or the free house show, basically.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to show what they taped that night or whatever.
Yeah, with the 3 remaining matches, because that night North Charleston was like a Superstars taping.
Yeah.
They were going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. And it's funny, the original card for this show had several more matches that weren't ever redone and reshot for television.
Yeah.
They just wrestled them in the dark and it was done. Like those Ultimate Warrior was on there and a few others. And I'll have to look on Wikipedia or something to see the lineup. But there was a ton of matches that didn't get shown and didn't get redone.
I've got an old Raw magazine from back in the day that's in a crate somewhere, packed away. And it's of this show. Like, they cover this show. And there's some pictures of everything that's happening in the dark. And when we get to the Undertaker match, I'll tell you what I remember from that.
Okay.
It had a much different finish because they didn't want to waste the finish that they had, on a dark crowd like that. So
right,
yeah.
Makes sense. see if I can look at my other notes here. This is just some stuff that I wrote down before we get to the matches that I wanted to talk about before we get into, because we'll get into the show and start reviewing it here in just a second. So we already talked about the power going off.
On the other channel, you got Scott Hall on the 27th of May.
Well, that's what that was actually in my notes too. That was actually a really cool fact that the very next night on Raw, after Beware of Dog, Nitro begins the second hour of Nitro. They go from 1 hour to 2 hours, and Scott Hall shows up.
Right.
So that's a huge night.
Well, this is where the big boys play.
That's right. This is you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. So that was kind of the biggest thing. Also, another thing too. So they had the strap match between Steve Austin and Savio Vega. He was still $1 Million Man. Ted DiBiase was still his manager at this time. This had been just a couple months after he debuted as the Ringmaster, but then quickly turned into, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And so the next night on Raw, in order to sell this, because, everybody knows it already happened at this point, Ted DiBiase came out and re-challenged Savio and said, hey, I'm so sure that Steve is going to win this. We want this rematch. I'll give you, if you give us this rematch, I'll put my career on the line.
Yeah.
So they've also famously, after Beware of Dog 2 on Tuesday night, this is where Ted DiBiase leaves WWF and the $1 Million Corporation's done.
Yeah. To become billionaire Ted.
To become billionaire Ted's, he joins the NWO.
Yep.
Which is, not up and running yet. But he does eventually go, and he does eventually join NWO. But he goes to WCW.
And a funny story on that, Austin actually didn't want a manager to begin with. He wanted to talk on his own, and that was them that came up with the Ted DiBiase thing.
Yeah.
And him leaving and getting that WCW contract kind of killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
They didn't have to, eventually let him go down the line. And
yeah.
Steve got to spread his wings and fly, so to speak.
Well, he did, because the very next month, a little less than a month later. See, the very next night on Raw, they started the qualifying matches for the King of the Ring, which Steve Austin won, and we'll get to that eventually down the road too. But he wins King of the Ring and the Austin 316 promo, and it takes off. And he also debuts the Stunner.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah,
against Savio Vega.
Yeah. It was that night. Was it the next night, or was it? It was in June, wasn't it?
They were. I believe they were either first round. Maybe they weren't first round opponents. Maybe they were second round opponents.
Yeah.
And he debuted, broke out the Stunner.
Yeah.
On Savio.
It was different too. It was no kick or anything. He just kind of
like a neck breaker.
It was like he was behind him and just like he was almost like getting him in a headlock or something. He just kind of reached up and grabbed him and planted him.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I watched an interview actually recently with both of them, and he said, hey, I want to try something. I want to try a new finish. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
But I guess they had a lot of respect for each other, and this strap match is pretty cool. We'll get to that. I think that's pretty much all I had at the moment. So if you want to just get right into to this, we already talked about the tag team match. I didn't watch it. Obviously, they didn't have any kind of footage that they show. I didn't watch the free for all. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not.
The tag team division at this time was really in shambles. You had the Body Donnans, Godwins, Smoking Guns, and New Rockers. It was just really bad.
Yeah.
On the other side, WCW was just killing them, tag team wise, with Harlem Heat and the Steiners, and the Road Warriors were back, and I can't remember who else, the Nasty Boys, and they had everybody over there.
Yeah. Also the next night on Raw was that famous moment where Goldust did the mouth-to-mouth on Ahmed Johnson and pissed him off. And that was actually Ahmed's first TV loss, I think.
I think it was. Taking the cast for Moa.
Yeah. But and WCW ends up taking the ratings. That's when the 83 weeks, the famous 83 weeks started, like right after in June there. So this is really kind of prelude to everything that we were going to be discussing. So that's actually really good. I don't know if you planned that or not, but
that was sort of,
was that in your mindset when you brought up Beware the Dog? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Andrew's the mastermind behind this. The start of this, I can.
So if it all goes south, blame me.
Because when I started looking at this, I'm like, holy shit, this is actually a perfect time to start.
Yeah,
and I also got to looking at free, because I don't remember Free for All.
Oh, you don't remember it at all?
Well, not really. Basically, Free For All is like the format of Free For All is what turned into Heat in '98.
Sort of.
It's sort of. But more people would recognize what Free For All is now as WWE Kickoff.
Yeah.
It's the kickoff show.
Yeah.
So it's basically that.
And I remember the first one. I believe the first one they had was the Royal Rumble that year, and they were talking about, I believe, is maybe Helmsley and Duke the Dumpster Drosy, the Garbage Man. I might be wrong there, but I think that's who it was. And the loser was going to enter first, and the winner was going to enter last.
Yeah.
And so there were stakes to be had, and I'm like, huh. Don't ever watch the preview channel, but I think I'll watch this, and it became a thing. Like,
yeah,
you had to watch it and see the pay-per-view sets. And
that's kind of what I loved about Heat in '98 when it launched, because I didn't get to ever order the pay-per-views back in the day, so it's kind of nice to see all the stages and the different entryways and stuff, and just kind of get that feel of, hey, this is pay-per-view night, and they had a pretty cool Heat episode usually leading up to the pay-per-view to promote the pay-per-view,
and that's one reason I kind of liked these In Your House events. They're only 2 hours, and they were the bridge between the big shows.
Yes.
But you would get some really good matches, especially when Brett or Sean were the champion.
Man.
So I would actually, like my lawn mowing money and stuff, $20. And before this, I think clear up to maybe February, there were $15.
Oh, really?
For 2
That's
hours,
pretty cool.
So yeah, I ended up ordering a few of these, and
that's awesome.
They were fun shows.
There were some really good stuff in '96 we're going to talk about, and there's some damn good In Your House shows in '97.
Yes.
So, and we'll definitely get to that down the road. Yeah, and the In Your House setup, that on the stage, the house, I think that's one of my favorite setups.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite stage setups. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. The first match of the night. Official match is Hunter Hearst Helmsley before the Triple H thing. This is right after the curtain call too.
Yes, this is another reason to talk about this here.
Yeah. So this is literally right after the curtain call. So Warrior's kind of there, and Hunter is getting pretty much shit on. Mm-hmm. This is the start of his punishment because Sean's champion and kind of almost untouchable. For whatever reason, he got away with so much stuff, and this is kind of the beginning of that. Yeah. And then other boys have left.
Yeah, Hunter was kind of his fall guy.
Yeah, Hunter was the fall guy.
For a long time.
He paid his dues longer, which I think led to the development of Triple H in a much better way in the long run.
And probably helped the relationship with him and his future father-in-law. Really,
probably
to see him pay his dues like that.
Yeah, probably so.
But I don't know if you've heard, but the rumor was that Hunter was supposed to win King of the Ring '96.
Yes.
Instead of Austin.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to see him here, especially in this match and the outcome of this match.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of a finish you don't see every day.
Yeah.
It's a really goofy finish.
It's an 80s finish.
It's definitely an 80s finish, and I don't know if that was a punishment thing or if that's just what they decided. But it was interesting when I first saw it, because I hadn't seen this pay-per-view, and I don't know if I've actually watched this pay-per-view until recently, until we decided to do this. I know I've seen bits. I've seen the strap match, but I haven't seen this match. And I gotta say, I know, like, Mark Marrow is really hard to look at because he looks like a cartoon villain. With those, you know what I mean? Like with because he's got the goofy eyebrows and they're like razor thin.
And he's wide-eyed.
He's wide-eyed, and I know he's got the wild man gimmick here, but Sable was definitely the one to look at in that group. But Mark Marrow is a worker, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow. You almost forget how good he was in the ring. Mm-hmm. It's just a shame he looked like that. Because he had a good physique.
Yeah.
But his face was just, he had that, because he had like almost like this pencil thin mustache thing too. Like he looked like a dastardly villain.
Yeah, dashing something.
Yeah, Dick Dastardly or whatever. Whatever it was that from was it the crazy? What was that car show? The old cartoon, the Wacky Racers.
Probably.
It's kind of like he just looked like a really tan version of like Boris or something. It was goofy. But man, he can go.
Yeah.
I put some stuff down in my notes. I didn't take a lot of notes for the matches because I'm just doing it off memory. And just, we'll see how that goes. But I did write down a couple for this one. He did a top rope sunset flip.
Yes.
Which was awesome. He did a top rope Hurricane Rana, which, were from the turnbuckle. And then he did some other stuff too. It was just wild, man.
Yeah.
He's a wild man.
Hence the name.
The name.
Yeah, I always enjoyed his work here from the time he came in. And this was the kind of the I guess you call it the blow-off match from what happened at WrestleMania. They had a backstage segment. Fighting over Sable.
Yeah, because she for a very, very short time, maybe even once at WrestleMania.
It was just WrestleMania.
Yeah, she was the valet for Triple H or for Hunter.
She came in and Warrior squashed him, and
yeah.
So anyway, this was kind of the blow off for that, and I really enjoyed it. It
was a really good match.
But where I've lost my train of thought there for a second. Where I was going with that is, from the point Mark Merrow came in till he had that knee surgery in like the first quarter of 97. I thought he was really good. At one point he wins the Intercontinental title here, but I think he holds it for like 4 weeks. But he put on some hellacious matches.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get credit for a lot of it.
Yeah.
People just remember Sable.
I can kind of, I think they knew pretty early on that Sable was the one they were going to go with, which is crazy. And don't get me wrong, she before she even learned what she was, or they saw it in her, and she was very attractive. Like, she was definitely, the other side of the sunny coin.
Right.
I don't know. She's terrible. She's terrible on the mic. She's terrible in the ring. Had a terrible attitude.
Did you hear Lawler burying her on commentary the entire match?
Oh my God. It was so bad.
Horse-face jokes. And,
yes.
And, a year or two later, he'd be, just popping every time she came out. But yeah, it was funny to listen to here.
Yes. Yeah. He's like, look at this fine gal. This is what you would see as a beautiful, classy woman. And Sable's just, terrible.
Yeah. Not the woman they had come out there with like the bangs that were down to her cheekbones.
It was a very super early 90s looking haircut.
It was, yeah. What did the bass player?
She looked like she was one of the singers in Wilson Phillips.
The bass player in Alice in Chains on their Unplugged said it best on his guitar. Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts.
Yeah.
It was the 90s.
Boy, she was rough looking.
Yeah.
It was definitely funny to see King defend that. And just deep down, that infuriated McMahon because he was, I'm pretty sure, in love with Sable.
Yeah.
Him and, was it Russo? Which I know it was.
It was Vince.
Yeah. Vince, the Vinces.
Yeah. Match-wise, I thought it was pretty good. Nowadays, you would see all kinds of stuff to the outside and all kinds of interference. This match was pretty straightforward in that Mark Merrow, I think he did one move to the outside and hurt his arm.
Yeah.
I think he hit the post.
Well, he did a flip over the rope. Hunter moved and he kind of tweaked his knee a little bit there too and sold that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. And it looked gnarly. Like I would almost believe it if he did.
Yeah.
Because the way he just kind of moved down.
But this for an opener was kind of interesting because, Hunter just worked a body part for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
In this thing.
I was surprised at how good this match really was. I guess I just forgot. I mean, Hunter's always been great. Yeah. I just forgot how good Mark was.
Yeah.
Because you just don't see a lot of his stuff if you don't watch old, late, mid-90s stuff.
Yeah.
And this is prior to all the goofy shenanigans they did when, Sable broke up with him and then gave him the bad power bomb in the ring, later on.
Taking bumps for his
wife. Yeah. But this, when he's just still an actual talent, that's actually doing stuff, it's amazing. He has amazing. He doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
The match ends 16 minutes 23 seconds with him doing a catapult, basically slingshot to the turnbuckle. Hunter goes over the turnbuckle onto the post, knocks himself out. Gets the 1, 2, 3. Weird finish.
It's the Mr. Perfect finish.
Yeah.
If you've seen any of his matches from the late 80s and early 90s, he did that a lot. I know Beefcake broke his perfect record with that. I know Lawler, when he won the AWA World Title, beat him with that. So I think that was Kurt Hennig's go-to finish.
No, that's not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's different. I think I initially gave this a 3-star, but I actually bumped it up after the end of the show to a 3.25. Just considering everything that came after it, and it's nothing against some of them, but just there's different parts of each match which we'll get to that I think could have been better, especially considering the talent.
Yeah, I'm good with 3.25 for that.
3.25 was a really good score for this one. It was a really good match. It's a good opener, especially when the crowd was still hot. And Vince even warned the crowd, "Well, it's storming out here. If we lose power, folks,
Yeah, I'd say people were in his ear.
Yeah, they were. I guess they did. And I watched a little bit of that JR podcast.
Did you?
Where they kind of had an idea that this could get pretty hairy. Huh. And they didn't have, what you say, they didn't have any backup generators.
No backup generator. This is the last time that happened, I think.
Oh, I guarantee it. I read, and I don't know, I think it was on Wikipedia, because you know how that can be true, that they haven't been back to South Carolina since.
Like for a major
a pay-per-view. They haven't held a pay-per-view. Yeah. Really burnt that storm really burned them.
At least don't go there in May or June, you know.
Well, no kidding. Well, you don't want to go there in October either. hit it about January.
Right.
So next up, you want to just go in order that's actually on Peacock?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because that's how you can watch it.
If you're going to watch this, you're going to watch it on Peacock probably, unless you're like me and still have a VHS tape of it somewhere in a crate.
I doubt it.
I actually probably could show you this free-for-all. Do you have a VHS player?
It's in a box somewhere. Might be at my mom and dad's. I don't know.
Just depends how bad you want to see it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe one day. I don't know. I'm not really worried about the tag team match. I can watch them. Well, I did in fact watch the Raw the next night just to kind of get some more detail what happened, and they were all on there anyway. Yeah, or at least the Smoking Guns and Sonny was. And I mean, who really cares about the Godwins?
Right.
Good. Good. It's a good set of talent with a really bad, shitty gimmick that was making fun of yokels that, like, nobody acts like that except for in the deep, deep, dark hills of Kentucky. Maybe. I don't know. I've never been to Kentucky. Well, I have been to Kentucky, but
hillbillies and cowboys don't fight. What's this?
Yeah. Come on, man. We're all friends. Sonny's she's the harlot. She's the one that they should be fighting.
Right.
I dropped my pen. So next match, we're just going to go right into it because that's the order most people are going to see it. It's HBK versus British Bulldog in a WWF Championship match, which I thought was funny because before I read anything on this, I started that match. I'm like, why the hell in 1996 are they? Because this is some 2023 shit.
Yeah.
Where they're doing a championship match, the second one in or something, and not the last one.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because they aired everything differently. So it's the championship match here. This was, it opens up the match right away with, what is his name?
Clarence Mason.
Clarence Mason, yeah. Hitting him with a summons.
Attempted alienation of affection. I don't think that's going to stand up in court.
No, no one knows what the hell you're talking about, dude. Well, and I watched the promo to this, and like with no context and not remembering any of this stuff, like, man, they showed the lead up and the package before the match, and Diana was like, I know you want me, and she slaps the shit out of Shawn Michaels, and what the hell is going on here? I guess I didn't even remember Diana Smith getting involved in anything story-wise other than just being shown, like I think she did, it was him and Brett at SummerSlam in 92 or 3 or whatever. Or 4.
Bulldog, yeah. 92.
Yeah, 92. So that was a damn good match.
She was there at the 95 match. You want to talk damn good matches, at the, 95, December 95 In Your House. Mm-hmm. Him and Brett, where Brett gets busted open hard way.
Yeah.
That's a great match. She was there ringside for that.
I'll have to go watch that again.
That's good. It's the only good match on the show.
Oh, really? Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Fast forward to about 95. An hour 30, yeah.
Because people got to remember there's a lot of good in these shows that we're going to talk about coming up, but there's a lot of dreck. Because this is still transitioning into the Steve Austins and the Attitude Era stuff. The DX hasn't started. Like, this is still Shawn Michaels is a good guy here.
You still have to get past your pirates and your hog farmers.
Was it the dumpster guy or whatever? I don't know. Repo Man. Good Lord.
Plenty of that.
But Shawn was a face here. He had Jose Lothario with him, which he'd had since before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because WrestleMania prior that year was WrestleMania 12, which is the Iron Man match with him and Brett.
Yeah. Which people either love or hate. I guess we could touch on it now.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. It was, the finish was a little weird.
The 2 super kicks?
Because didn't they end in the draw because the time counter went, it was over an hour, and then they weren't they kind of slow to restart?
Yeah, well, Brett took his belt and was walking to the back, and Gorilla Monsoon ordered the match to restart.
Okay,
and he's like, "Hey, 60 minutes."
Yeah, 60 minutes, man.
Yeah, it took him completely by surprise, and he ate 2 super kicks, and after Sean had sold it really good because he'd been locked in that sharpshooter for like the last 45 seconds of that match.
Yeah.
Threatening tap out. And, so yeah, I like the way he sold that as Brett comes back in and just starts pounding on him and then catches those out of nowhere.
I want to know what it like. Shawn Michaels, I have never seen anybody else do this, I don't guess, but the way that man can be the most unprofessional, crazy asshole, but he finds a way to dig and work all his nonsense in, whether it be selling or moves or maybe some tantrums, things he says in promos. He does it at times where it's not really important.
Right.
So because he gets in and he does the job, whether he wins or loses, he works. So he never really, aside from like the Montreal stuff, he never really he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't hurt anybody else. Like for all this hate going around between him and Brett and the rest of them and all the shit that he's done in this 2 or 3 years time span, it's amazing that you don't hear more on air stuff or see more on air shenanigans.
Yeah.
Or, like actual shoot things. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We saw a little bit in this match.
Yeah, there was a little bit in this match.
The one I can think of.
But it wasn't at important times, is what I mean. Like it didn't cost, the match was already kind of a weird joke because they were off timing. Like there was a few things that they're off cue on and it just didn't work. And it could have been Michaels. It could have been just both of them not. Yeah.
I would say it's probably Davey, just given what Bret Hart said about him in the ring.
Yeah, Davey's not good in the ring. And Davey
he's all right if he's being led.
Yes. Yeah, which is why him and Bret were so good in 92.
Yeah. The one time I can think of Shawn Michaels just totally going into business for himself is SummerSlam 2005 with Hogan.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it didn't affect the end of the match.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the most blatant time. And that's one of the things in my head when I was saying that.
Do you care if I tell my Terry Funk story right now?
No, go right ahead.
So, we live in Missouri and, Harley Race's, wrestling promotion is here. His wrestling school's here. So they wrestled, when he was around, they wrestled little high schools and stuff. And he'd always bring in a name. So, over the years, I met like Bobby Eaton and,
oh man, they've been awesome.
Terry Funk and the Honky Tonk Man, stuff like that. But, so Terry Funk was at this little bitty show in this town with a population of like 1,500 people. And so I walk up to his table and, I'm wearing my SummerSlam 2005 shirt because I think this was in 05. And I'm not even going to attempt Terry Funk, but he's like, was that a good match? And I'm like, do I lie to Terry Funk and tell him it was, or do I be a complete a-hole and sound like I'm smart to the business? So it's like, what? I was torn. I remember in that moment.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
But he was really cool. I got to talk to him for a few minutes.
That'd be awesome.
He personalized some photos and stuff. So.
That's one thing that aggravates me about something like, I always think of Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Because I think Kevin Nash thinks that literally every fan ever is a mark.
Right.
And I don't think Mark is necessarily somebody. I think Mark is somebody who may still believe it's real or take it seriously. I think that's the definition of what a mark is.
Right. Or somebody who's willing to shell out money for.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, I don't look at I mean, I guess you can call me a smart mark, but I kind of don't look at it that way. I'm still analyzing. I think we just have a really good understanding of how things are supposed to go. And now we're not in it. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm a know-it-all. I'm not a Jim Cornette kind of guy, but like, I don't know. Sorry, my dog's in here making noise. Anyway, I don't want to sound like an asshole either when I say that, but it's like, I think I have a pretty good understanding of how things kind of are supposed to go. And it's about making money. It's not about what I want necessarily, but I also know what good booking looks like even as a fan. And I know that they don't know how to do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really take offense to what Nash says. I just think it's kind of a shitty thing to just call every one of us a mark who, it's because it kind of almost demeans, like it's kind of diminishes us too. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But this was my one moment where I was completely conflicted. It's like, do I tell him the truth here or, it was just one of those things.
Yeah. He probably knew better anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, Shawn Michaels and British Bulldog.
Yeah. So It was an okay match. It had decent moments. I thought it was a little bit too long. I think they went 17 minutes, 21 seconds. That's what I wrote down here. 17 minutes, 21 seconds. Okay spots here and there. There was some discoordination, uncoordinated stuff. Well, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. There was one instance where, and maybe you remember this, where I think he went for like a kitchen sink or something.
And Sean sidestepped
him, or
balance.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was a Davey thing or a Sean thing, and Sean was just kind of being ass, or Davey just missed his mark.
It's hard to say, because if you watch this show, or maybe if you just want to see this part of the match, fast forward it to 40 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh, well, he's got it down.
Because I watched it last night and went straight to that part. Or maybe it was the night before. But anyway, Davey Boy has Sean in his dreaded chinlock that he's, I'm sucking wind. Yeah. And so he puts him in this chinlock.
Yeah.
And Sean, Earl Hebner or Dave Hebner, I can't remember what, Earl,
I think,
leans in and tells Sean something. And Sean gets arguably upset.
Yeah.
He puts his elbows on his knees while he's in this move and throws his hands up in the air like, WTF.
Yeah.
And it's right after that is when that miscue happens. So I don't know if it was some kind of mental thing, or if it's just him screwing with Davey because he forgot something.
Well, maybe.
Could have been. But maybe Hebner was telling him to, hey, we got to cut the match short. We're running low on time. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Because I think he was starting in it was on and off. Like he was really starting in his attitude, because the drugs were getting bad. And I don't think him and Jose Lothario, didn't he kind of get shitty with him?
I've heard that.
I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, what did you think of the match? Did you think it was okay?
I think it was okay. Just okay. And there was enough botches in it. It brings it down.
Yeah.
They would have this match. Of course, the ending of this match was pretty cool with the double German pin, and nothing like that had ever been done before.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And of course, they have the whole schmoz, who's the champ, and it was to set up.
Both shoulders were down.
It was to set up a match for King of the Ring, which you thought this match was long at 17 minutes. It's like 26 minutes, but it is twice as good as this match.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's a very good match.
Yeah. There's very little that I remember about that King of the Ring other than Austin winning. I did, catch that match was kind of too.
Yeah. Well, the match with Roberts the match with Mero was excellent.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. And Austin and Mero worked really well together, just like him and Savio did. So yeah, I gave it like a 2. It was a 2 stars. It's not like it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Definitely not the worst on the night. But it could have been so much better.
I'll go 2.5. Just the ending was a interesting idea.
Yeah.
And I can kind of get behind that.
I think because the match missed the mark, not everybody, well, I say that, and most people didn't seem like they were involved. I think they were happy Sean retained the belt, because you could hear the cheers when he retained the belt. So I think maybe by the end of it and everything that went on, they just didn't care. But I think you would have had a much bigger reaction to that whole moment, had more suspenseful or something. I think the build could have been better had the match been a little bit better.
Had they not set through the dark.
And maybe not having set the dark for a couple hours waiting for this shit to happen.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this, as we're getting ready to transition into Beware of Dog 2, did you notice the production quality changed between the two nights? Just the picture clarity?
Yes.
It was a lot easier on the eyes in night 2 than it was in night 1.
It was.
I don't know if that's the building or the lighting or the fact that there was a storm outside, but when you watch this on the network, it's kind of jarring.
Well, and I really liked the switch in camera angles, because it showed the entrance.
Yes.
Like a lot of the hard camera wasn't on the entrance.
And I like that entrance too, that Superstars entrance.
Yeah, that was just a basic
simple
house show looking deal. Yeah, I like that too. And they still had the lighting and all that. Everything was kind of a big TV production, kind of for what it was back then. I mean, even the Raw set wasn't huge. Yeah. It wasn't. They weren't in big arenas or anything yet. Yeah,
they did something scaled down like that this year at Backlash.
Yeah,
I think to try to get more people in the seats, since it costs more to take it to
being in Puerto Rico. Yeah, which turned out really well for them because they packed the house and that crowd was amazing.
Yeah.
So moving into night 2, we're on it. Was there anything else you needed to add to the HBK?
No, that was pretty much it.
It's a shame it just wasn't. There's not much to talk about other than
of all the
Diane stuff was weird too. She grabbed the belt and took off and tried to play. I will say this real quick before we move on, because she grabbed that belt and started to move up the entryway and held the title up and was trying to play like heel wife manager or something. And I'm like, this ain't for me, dog.
Yeah, you should let Owen do it.
Yeah, for real. She's not. It just didn't sit well. I don't know why. It just didn't fit it right.
And of all, Shawn Michaels' title defenses were all spectacular this year, except for this one.
Yeah.
This one kind of missed the mark. So.
Yeah. Well, and, I think, do you think he, because, I think I've heard certain people, like maybe even Cornette, talk about, like, how he wasn't drawing. He didn't draw very well.
I think the pressure was getting to him.
Well, I haven't seen the numbers myself. I've just heard this. So I didn't know if this was just one of those things where, like, was he really not drawing, or was this just biased towards him being such a shit? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know either, because he was so popular and he did so good.
Cornette can be vindictive at times.
Well, he can.
He was better drawing than Kevin Nash was.
Well, that's for damn sure. Well, and Sid in '97, he wouldn't have been a better draw. He would have been a better draw than Sid.
Yeah,
and people love Sid.
Yeah. Yeah, when we get to that point, I love Sid as champion.
I do too, but I'm just saying it's just weird. It's weird when you hear stuff like that. Like, how did Shawn Michaels, one of the biggest stars of ever, and who was in his prime despite his problems, how would he not sell as a champion? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I should do some digging on those numbers. So night 2 starts. Like you said, the production seems a little bit better. The overall quality seems a little bit better. They shortened the night up. You're just doing 3 matches here instead of all those other filler matches that they had from the night 1 card. Savio Vega versus Steve Austin in the Caribbean strap match was up next. Very good match. Tell me about this one. What do you think about this one?
This to me is, as far as WWF goes in '96, this is a top 10 match of the year.
I agree.
It's very good. I love how they'd had the match the night before and they were selling that point, and every time Savio wound up, Austin was like flinching, like I ain't taking that crap again.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
And boy, they were really giving it to each other in this match. Loved it.
Well, because I haven't actually watched a strap match in a long time, like of any kind.
You just don't see them very often.
Because you don't see them very often. And then I watched this and I'm like, man, it's such a simple kind of match. You just got to touch 4 corners.
Yeah.
And just prevent your opponent from doing the same first. And I don't know, there's something about it. It was so good.
Yeah.
Like, the concept is so good to me. It's very classic wrestling.
Right.
But it's so good to me. Like, like him, because the thing is, you're strapped to each other by your wrists. And you got to work with the strap around you. You got to do all these moves with the strap around you. You got just enough slack to basically Irish whip your opponent across the ring and do something. And, and Austin kept running away, and, they had to, they were kind of like using leverage and pulling the strap through the ropes or over the ropes, under the ropes, trying to keep, trying to keep each other, he's trying to keep away from Savio. Maybe just the way they worked it. I thought it was great, man. Like, I'd love to see more strap matches.
Yeah, I love the cause and effect in this match. When Austin backdrops Savio over the top, and that strap pulls Austin over the top.
Yes.
It's like, and he's completely out of camera frame, so you don't see him till he's...
Yeah, already coming down.
That was a great shot. And then there's another one, too, where Austin's up on the buckles and Savio's kind of at the corner, and he pulls him off into the guardrail. That was a really good spot, too.
And this is one of those things that people need to kind of... when they watch this stuff back from this time to SummerSlam 97 before Austin gets hurt, they really need to watch how, because he takes a superplex off the top rope. I mean, he's doing stuff that if you want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin and what he was and what he could have been, he's actually taken these. I mean, this is this is an area you want to see Stone. Yes. I encourage you to watch some of the stuff from WCW when he was in Hollywood Blondes, but. And also, like, this era here, that year, as he starts to rise, is some of his best work in ring before he had to change up that style.
Here in the matches with Mero, and everybody talks about WrestleMania, but they forget the Survivor Series 96 match with Brett.
Yes.
And it's
very good.
Yes, it's very good.
It's very good.
I almost said just as good, but it's very good.
No, it's not just as good, but it's very good. It's up there. Yeah, this is one of the, if you want to see in ring Steve Austin's work, his best work, this is the year you want to watch it. Just don't get used to it. Because then he gets dropped on that stack of dimes he calls a neck. End up giving Savio Steve Austin a 3 1/4 star. I almost wanted to go 4, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be the right. I don't know. It was such.
I went 4.
Did you go 4? I think that's a fair score. I gave it a 3 3/4, but
they beat the hell out of each other.
They did. It was so good. I didn't know if I wanted to put a 4 in on a gimmick match, but.
Yeah, sometimes
this is one of the better ones I've seen. So I mean, I'm completely okay with.
Sometimes, like when we get to Hell in a Cell '97 at Bad Blood, we're going to go higher than that.
That's true.
Gimmick matches.
That is true. So this got 21 minutes and 27 seconds, which was actually 6 minutes and 27 seconds or something like that. Longer than the first night. Yeah. Because when the one they did in the dark was 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Which both men have also said that they like that match better.
The one in the dark?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I heard that.
They both have said that they thought it was better than the second
I think I might have phoned that one in just a little bit.
Well, when you just did it 2 nights prior and you're already beat up, you're like, yeah. Which was amazing. Like, these guys came out there and did that shit in the dark. I know you have an in-house crowd to appease, but it's like, why would you try?
Yeah, I guess
no one can see it.
I guess maybe your hering's enhanced in the dark, and maybe so that's what they were going for. I don't know.
Maybe they just, I don't know. I would like to have been there. That would have been pretty cool, just to kind of, because the thing is, if anybody's ever been to a show, even when the lights go out, it's not, you can't see very well. But like when they turn the lights off in between, like if they're commercial break, they're coming in and they're changing the mats and the aprons up and they're cleaning everything up, getting ready for the next match of the segment, basically. And there's people everywhere. They're all coming out in these sweatshirts. That's where they sneak Taker and them, under the ring. You can see when you're in the house, you can
there's
see
still concourse lights.
Yeah, you can see what's going on a little bit. So maybe the in-house crowd could see more than obviously the cameras weren't going to pick up.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it was. But other than that, I couldn't imagine just working that hard in the dark. And then, because I think they didn't find out till afterwards, but still, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this one?
No, it's very good.
Yeah.
Watch this match.
Yeah, for sure. You get to see, Ted DiBiase's overreaction to him losing and he's gone. Then they sang the na, hey, goodbye, which I didn't realize that they were doing that early in wrestling.
Yeah, they were. I will say, whenever Savio Vega gets 3 corners and you watch DiBiase, especially that spot where he's hit 3 and he runs and Stone Cold cuts him off and hits him with the spine buster, the look of relief on DiBiase's face. What a worker.
Well, and to that point, right there at the end, when he had him strapped up and he was pulling Savio over behind, but by the neck behind him, he would go through and he'd hit the turnbuckle, and then Savio would hit the turnbuckle behind him, and he wouldn't realize it. And by the time they got to the third one, DiBiase realized what was happening, and he's like, no, he's like, wait a minute. Yeah, that was a good finish. It was a good surprise finish for everybody, and of course Savio. I don't know if we mentioned Savio win. Well, yeah, we did. Savio wins.
His match.
My mind is spaghetti, apparently. Yeah, Savio wins that match, and DiBiase leaves. And then you got the next match. Wow. Okay. So you got Vader with Jim Cornette versus Yokozuna, who is every bit of over 600 pounds at this point. Yeah. This almost not the biggest he got, but was big. And this was when the problem started to happen, and they were starting to, he was gone by this year, wasn't he? Or early
shortly after SummerSlam, maybe.
Yeah.
I know he came back for Survivor Series, but he may have been gone in between there. I don't remember seeing him at all.
Yeah, he didn't have much going. This was pretty much the end of his road here. And then he went on. He didn't die till like 01 or something like that. And it was
like late 2000.
2000. Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, he got too big. And he was too big here. He was slow. It was hard for him to get up. And Yoko was a great big man. And I don't think he was as great in the ring as everybody thinks, personally, especially to that later half of his career, because he kept getting bigger. I think when he first came in,
he was pretty special.
It was pretty special.
Yeah.
And of course that doesn't take away from him, because I heard personally he was one of the best guys you'll ever meet. But, just in-ring wise, it's just really hard to see somebody like that get in there and do that. And then not to mention you're working a match with a guy who's just as big, who's also not as big, but close, who's also struggling with weight issues. And I love Vader, but the dude is a brick shithouse and he could barely do any, he had a big old gut of his.
It's not a recipe for a good match.
It's not a recipe for a good match, man. And, luckily it was, I forgot the time on this. No, 8 minutes and 53 seconds. I did get the time. So had to look at my notes for that. So after a Vader bomb, Vader ends up beating him. Cornette gets involved, and Yoko brings him over, knocks him down, is going to do the bonsai drop off the turnbuckle to Cornette. Vader pulls Cornette out of the way, lets him drop, he falls on his ass, hits him with a elbow drop to the leg, and then moves him over and does the Vader bomb for the 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't that long. It was painful.
There was one good spot in it. Yoko clothesline Vader over the top rope, and Vader took it like a champ, like a.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
It looked like Michael
because he got up and looked at Cornette like shocked, like what just happened here.
That was the one spot in the match. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Other than that, just a mess, man. Yeah. It's hard to see. I gave it 1 star.
Yeah,
it might be harsh, but I was like, "This, what can you do?"
Yeah, I was thinking half. So
yeah, like, what can you do?
I'm good either way. There, we can give it 1 star.
Yeah, I make up for the lack of the quarter star I gave that strap match, I guess. So for the main event, moving right along, Goldust with Marlena versus The Undertaker in a casket match, and I'm trying to think. He had. When was the first casket match? Was it 94?
It might have been
93.
It might have been 94 with Yoko and.
Was it Royal Rumble 94 when they got him?
I don't think there was one prior to that.
It wasn't Buried Alive. It was casket.
Yeah,
and that was because that was when he was in the gray and black, and I think it was Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
because then everybody came out and helped him, and then he ascended behind the Titantron
until Leslie Nielsen brought him back.
Yeah, Leslie. Yeah, God rest his soul. Thank you for that. Then we got that awesome Taker versus Taker match at SummerSlam. Yeah. I tell you what, though, the lead up to that,
it was pretty sweet.
Was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
even with Leslie Nielsen, and as corny as it was, but that entrance, dude, that was a really cool moment because that was the first purple and black Taker,
right?
And then this was when the music changed. His theme got upgraded. And, Gray and Black Taker, DiBiase's Taker, came out with the old Western Mortician theme.
Yeah, the old Underfaker.
The Underfaker. And, then, Mark Calloway Undertaker, real Undertaker, comes out in the new get-up.
With the strings.
The black, it's, the lights go black, you got the blue and purple lighting or whatever, the black light, and then you've actually got a full upgraded theme. Man, that was a cool ass moment. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Now, the match was
it should have been the main event that night.
No, but I loved it. That entrance, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But what'd you think of this match?
So, this match was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I love Goldust. I love Undertaker. Undertaker wasn't producing amazing matches yet in this time in his career. It took him a long time to get to that point because there wasn't a lot of people to work with him, and everybody they wanted him to work with were all big guys that were shitty. Like you at 95, you had him at WrestleMania with King Kong Bundy, who was already on the end of his career, so he couldn't do anything. And then you had Giant Gonzalez in that mess in 93, or was it 93? Yeah, it was 93 because that was WrestleMania 9. So you're now getting to the point where, when he became the Phenom, the purple and black Taker, he lightened up a little bit. He trimmed up just a little bit, even before he broke the orbital bone, which was Mabel. So this was before that, I think. Yeah, it was before that. So you got to see Undertaker start to come into his own here because he was a little more zombie-ish.
Yeah. And
he did have a few spurts of energy here and there, but this Taker is when you got to see the high flyer, the flying stuff, and the crazy bursts of fast punching and energy and you get to see how explosive and agile he was. So this was like one of my favorite eras of Undertaker.
Yeah, from here until, I don't know.
I think here until 99.
Ministry Taker.
Because I love Ministry Taker.
Yeah.
Now I know, like, the thing is everything with the Ministry was really badass looking on the surface.
But terrible.
But terribly executed. It was super corny and just, I loved everybody in the Ministry. I loved the idea of the Ministry. It just wasn't so, I don't know. It's hard. We'll get to it eventually, but.
But yeah, no, he was cool here.
He looked badass as the Ministry Undertaker.
And I really liked him. Dustin Rhodes is almost as big as Taker when he's 6'6".
Well, he hit him with the tombstone in this. It was not a good looking tombstone.
Yeah.
Because he kind of I think he got nervous. Because Undertaker fell. He didn't have Undertaker all the way, and he dropped down just about to his knees.
It looked sloppy.
It was sloppy, so he was just kind of like letting him down, making sure he wasn't going to drop him on his head.
But he was manhandling Taker here.
He was.
And I enjoyed that.
That's why I gave it a little bit higher score, because the thing is both of them guys are big enough, but also fast and agile enough to work well together. And Goldust is, like, people, this was, the character was very Attitude Era-ish before Attitude Era.
Yes.
And this was something that it's an interesting time. And he really made it his own. Dustin Rhodes is a very underrated wrestler. I think.
I would agree with that.
I really do think somebody, because I mean, he can go to places like, AEW now and be the vet who helps everybody and they talk him up and all that. Dude, he was not getting any love the way he should have.
Yeah.
Because he was running a bunch of really weird shit with that Goldust character. And I love the Goldust character.
Everybody was super homophobic at this time.
That's true. That is true. Which kind of made it funnier a little bit because it was just so on the nose.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he kissed Ahmed. Like, looking back at it now, it's like, oh my God, this is crazy.
I wish he'd do it again.
It wasn't offensive, I don't think. It was just like, just goofy. But anyway, dude, he is the Goldust character even, and him, they're the most underrated, one of the most underrated superstars of all time to me.
Can you imagine being Ahmed Johnson, just your internal thoughts as Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard lays this angle out to you? Dude,
so he was from Mississippi, right? Just some big, jacked up, burly, meat-headed
gang member
that you can't hardly understand a word he says because he's so south. It's like he's so southern. And he talks fast and man, he was terrible on the mic.
Yeah, oh god.
He's actually terrible all the way around. He's one of those guys like I liked as a kid because he was that big brute dude.
He slammed Yokozuna.
Yeah. But when you, as an adult, you watch his stuff, you're like, man, he could have killed everybody he worked with because he was so sloppy.
Yeah.
Like you want everybody gives Goldberg shit. This guy was bad.
Yeah.
And I guess he was, no one liked him. Ron Simmons like beat the hell out of him.
If Ron Simmons doesn't like you, you've got a problem.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I would want to mess with Ron. Don't step to Ron. I believe that was his theme song in WCW.
Yeah.
on the old Slam Jam album.
Yeah. Marlena, good to look at. Good valet.
Yeah.
I thought her and Goldust always had a great dynamic, and this was around time they were married, I think, already, right?
Yeah. She added to the weirdness.
She did.
I really like,
especially when a hot chick in an evening gown would come out there with a big stogie and smoking. Like, what the hell?
I love at WrestleMania whenever Piper strips Goldust and he's in the women's lingerie.
Oh my God.
She takes his robe and covers him up.
Yes. Yeah.
She's the only one who does not think this is weird.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's such an underrated. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah. Like, that Dustin put everything he had into that just to make it work. And he did. Like, nobody else could have done that. Rhodes.
I'll give it 2 3/4 stars. It was entertaining. It was a pret'd good match. What'd you think of the finish?
So, the finish was actually pretty good. I don't know. Was there any? I can't remember. Where did Mankind come into the picture? Was this the first time, or was this?
So Mankind attacked Undertaker the night after WrestleMania.
Okay.
And
was this his debut? Was that a debut?
Yeah, that was the debut that night. I think he beat like Barry Horowitz or somebody like that. But anyway, he had
not Barry.
Yeah, I don't think he'd had like a major match yet.
Okay.
But he had attacked Undertaker by that point. and this was them really getting together. And the next month they would wrestle at King of the Ring.
Okay,
and be the first of many Mankind victories.
That was a good pack. Like, it was a good like whole deal.
Yeah,
like all their work together. Program as some of the older folks would call it, I guess. So yeah, the finish, Taker hits Goldust with Tombstone, goes to roll him out and open the casket. When he opens the casket, Mankind is in the casket, screeching like Leatherface and being weird. He hits him with the mandible claw. Undertaker passes out, closes the casket. Goldust wins. They take off, and then Mankind sits on the casket for a minute until it starts to smoke.
Did you notice he locks the casket with the key? And then later on, they just open it.
Yeah. Well, he acts like he's locking it, but if you notice the casket lid is like cockeyed, on it, so it's not even closed properly. It's very makeshift. It's bad. But then, he leaves after it starts smoking, and then Paul Bearer's all shook. He's all shook, and where is it? He opens it up. Where is he? And the crowd, you can hear one guy just fucking deadpan laughing in the background. Just like what the hell? He's gone. Undertaker's gone. The music plays, and we go off the air with JR confused and screaming, what the hell's going on? And
saxophone.
That was it. That was Beware of Dog and Beware of Dog 2. If you think that this was a mediocre pay-per-view, just listening to this, you're right. It is. But like I said, it's the significance of the things going on within or around it is what we wanted to address, because I think it's a good starting point. Yeah. Plus, it's just unique to see something like the Storm knocking out the Power, because that's the only time that it's ever happened. Yeah. And that everybody got a free show on Tuesday night out of the deal.
Yeah. To me, I look at the show with a little more fondness than you do. There's one terrible match on it. Mm-hmm. There's one match that was okay with some botches, and the other 3 matches I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
So 3 out of 5.
Overall,
yeah.
I'll agree. Yeah, I can give you that. Like I said, the Goldust and Taker match was good. I like the dynamic between the two. I like both characters. I think they work really well together. I think we could see better out of them, but
yeah, and they will wrestle more this year.
Yes, and I can't wait to cover those, because I think we should. That Marrow Hunter match was awesome. I love that, and the strap match was awesome. So yeah 3 out of 5 for sure.
Yeah, and Bulldog and Michaels wasn't bad. It just wasn't the best thing in the world.
No, it wasn't. There's going to be so many more things we talk about with Michaels. It's going to be so much better. And I like British Bulldog a lot. But he is not good. And Michaels wasn't the kind of guy at that moment in time to help carry a match with him.
Yeah, with the issues he had.
I mean, Michaels could wrestle a mop and be good. It's just, it's just like this case, so it wouldn't be that good.
Yeah.
It'd be better than anybody else could wrestle a mop, but it's still not good, brother. Overall decent show, and like I said, we got the Nitro starting 2 hours the next night with Scott Hall debuting, and I don't know what do we want to cover next? Are we just going to go down the line and we want to do pay-per-views and just kind of do context within that, or do you want to?
Yeah, I mean that'd be fine with me if that's what you want. You want to go King of the Ring next and talk about.
Let's do King of the Ring since the qualifying. Yes, let's do that. Let's just do King of the Ring. We might cover a little WCW along the way too.
Yeah,
because especially if we get down to maybe Bash the Beach.
Yeah.
Maybe towards July we'll get to that, because that's the big Hogan turn. We probably need to cover that, because it also feeds into the NWO, and the WWF is going to be forced to change their ways.
Because at this point...
Because WWF is tanking right now. As we speak, this is what they're...
And WCW, before the NWO came in, wasn't the hottest thing either. You had the Dungeon of Doom and Hogan. Did you ever see Uncensored 96 with Hogan and Savage against like 9 guys in a steel cage?
Oh,
it was...
No, I didn't. When was the monster truck thing? Was that
Halloween Havoc 95?
Okay, yeah. So this has been right after that.
Yeah. So
that was the last little bit. You attribute everything to that mid 90s. Like the production started getting big and great. Mm-hmm. It just the stuff wasn't there yet. Hogan coming in was cool for a minute.
Yeah.
But you just had a lot of the old guard still there that
Yeah.
It just wasn't, it was really the NWO that turned everything upside down, which you'll also see by the end of the year, wasn't it, I think, end of 96 was Sting. Cause Sting leaves in 96.
Yeah, he leaves in the fall.
And then comes back in
at the end of 97.
That's in the match.
Yeah.
But he starts,
showing up in the rafters.
Like at the end of 96, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's like not very, I actually, when I went back and looked, I didn't realize how soon it was.
Yeah.
From, Surfer Sting to Crow Sting. Because he only left for just a really short time.
Yeah, and I remember at the time, we're going down a rabbit hole now, but I remember at the time going, why's his hair brown all of a sudden?
Yeah, because it was like that was just a few months or a year or so that he was just getting longer and it was. Anyway, we'll do that. We'll cover Bash the Beach maybe after King of the Ring. We're going to do King of the Ring next time.
Yeah, and then we'll go maybe Bash at the Beach. And
we'll see where we're at from there. But we got a fun ride ahead of us. We're really excited. I'm really excited about talking about this stuff, man, launching this podcast. And also, like I said, guys out there, you'll be able to find this wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You'll be able to see it on YouTube. And, be sure to watch for some other content as well. I'll have some gameplay up very soon. I think I'm going to go back and play some old, really shitty wrestling games for a little bit. Stuff that I loved as a kid that were bad, like, those old Acclaim days with the button combos.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm going to put myself through that hell.
Did you ever play, like, the old tag team wrestling? It's with the one with, like, the pink guy with a blue star on his face.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Those are terrible.
I might even throw in some old, because I think you were talking about the other day, that old WrestleMania arcade, or, In Your House, actually. Yeah. I might do In Your House on PlayStation. People haven't seen that. That is wild. It's very Mortal Kombat-ish, but it's not like...
Get over here.
Yes, there's no fatalities, but there's some power. It's goofy. I might throw that in. Maybe a little No Mercy. We're going to lead up into some of that AEW Fight Forever stuff. I guess it's supposed to be kind of like No Mercy, too, arcadey. I don't know. We're going to be fine with me. We're going to find out. We're going to do that, and... then also, guys, real soon after this, we'll be on the lookout for our Mount Rushmore video. I don't know. I think we're gonna shoot that here pretty soon, and we'll get that up. Everybody can see by the way, just to forewarn everybody, we haven't got them roped down.
No, we're gonna fly.
We are going to work this out, because when we started to think about it, we're like, what do you do? So this is going to be very much like working this out.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a fun episode to talk about. And I think we'll just put that as a regular video on YouTube instead of a podcast, because we're going to do King of the Ring next.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, guys, I appreciate you guys listening to us or watching wherever you're at. And let us know what you think. If you're watching us on YouTube, let us know what you think of this. And if you watch Beware of Dog, if you haven't watched Beware of Dog, I highly recommend that.
Yeah. At least a strap match, for sure.
At least a strap match. Watch that. Yeah, anything with Savio Vega and Stone Cold, you need to go back and watch, because it really helps shape Austin at the very beginning. And you may not think so, but it does. And even Austin has said that he got into ring shape. He said he coming in kind of blown up. Within those few months, he said he got in really good ring shape.
Yeah,
working with Savio. Savio made him earn it. So, anyways, guys, thanks a lot, and we will catch you down the line.
That's the bottom line.